The reason you got hooked on this video is because the title goes something along the lines of, do businesses need AI, or does my business need AI? And I'm not going to take up most of your time. I'm going to give it quick for you. No, businesses do not need AI, and no, your business does not need AI. And it's not for the reason you would think. AI actually has a great return on investment. The problem is actually you, the users, the business that are implementing AI. Why, you might ask? It's because of A, the implementation is mostly wrong. The place or the department or the task you put AI for is wrong. And the thirdly is you use it in a backwards manner. And that will burn a hole in your pocket that you can never get back. By the way, I did not say this. McKinsey and MIT together said this. Both of them have done research on this very topic. Their findings are very interesting to read. McKinsey said that out of 88% of businesses are trying to integrate AI into their business. Out of those 88, 80 don't get a return on investment on the AI they implemented. The MIT one is a bit of a over exaggerated, but it goes along the same line. Out of businesses that implemented AI, 95% of them are not getting a return on investment. Here, usually the numbers are very astronomical, but the one thing you have to think about is flip that number around. Based on whose research you're reading, 20% and 5% are getting high return on their investments. And why? Well, the common denominator for both of them is actually strategy and implementation. The 5% and the 20% are businesses that are not affected by the shiny object syndrome. A business sees some kind of workflow and they are in love with it. Without any planning or any strategizing, they just call the agency up and they get that system or software implemented to their business. They did not need it, it's just it was pretty and they bought it. And these 5 and 20% don't have that syndrome on them. First, they think, they strategize before they implement any kind of AI into their business. And I actually find that fascinating because all of all businesses, everybody thinking about implementing AI should strategize. Why? Because see AI as an investment. When you invest in the stock market, you don't just throw your money, right? You actually do research on that stock. You do the numbers, you experiment, then step by step, little by little, you start investing on the stock on a stock. Why is AI any different? On the implementation point, the problem here is that when execs call the shot, it has to do this, it has to do that. But it goes step by step, one pain point at a time. We can all see this in this case study. In this case study, there's this guy called Steve. Steve owns a business construction supply store. Steve was worried here. For 3 consecutive months, his sales have been going down slightly. He does what any businessman does, and he goes over to his competitor and see what is the difference between him and me. And he finds out that his competitor is actually installing AI. Great. Steve goes back, calls up an agency, and asks them, I want personal assistants, I want voice agents, and I want lead generation systems. Who does not want that? And also, agencies love a guy that knows what he wants and actually goes for it. But here is actually where it gets deeper because by the way, I learned engineering, and some people graduate with honors. I graduated with memories. And the 5 years of uni, the one thing that was hounded to me is that this flow chart. Performance is affected by properties, properties are is affected by structure, and structure is affected by processing. And you would think, what is this used in Steve's case? Well, let's break it down. After Steve asks an agency to build systems for him, if the agency is good, they will ask each and every one of the departments that needs this AI a couple of questions. This is where the performance properties graphs comes in. Sometimes the issue might not be AI. It actually might be something internal. When you break down the building blocks and see at an atomic level, you'll understand what the problems are and how to solve them. And after a lot of repeated phone calls and after a lot of investigation, the agency will find out one thing that is a huge problem in Steve's pipeline. It's his sales and development team. It's not AI. He does not need AI. He needs a better sales and development team because his team has a bad list, has a bad script, and are not trained to be high ticket salesmen. This is important because if there are 100 salesmen out there, the person that will sell the most is the person with the good list. If everybody has the same list, you know who's the person that will sell most? The person who has a great script. And thirdly, if everybody still has the same list and the same script, the person who will sell more is the person who's the best offer. In Steve's case, he doesn't have a good script, he doesn't have a good list, and his salesmen are not trained to be high ticket salesmen. The agency will tell Steve that this runs deeper than just AI. And most probably he will go to a business consultant then. That's what the first thing he should have done. Because yes, nobody likes consultants. They wear fancy suits, they come flash a PowerPoint, and you drop a lot of money on them. But they have seen your issue a lot of times. Your one specific issue for them is just another number. Consultants first came up to existence because they helped companies through the Industrial Revolution. Now, through the AI revolution, also consultants are important. For Steve's case, is actually a business consultant. But for your case, if you're trying to implement AI on your business, you actually need an AI consultant. The first thing that obviously what they will do together is they will strategize and they will run an audit called an AI audit. What is an AI audit? Well, think of it as a business audit. Business audit is a systematic and objective examination of each and every one of your departments of a business. It sees the internal structure and it finds out where the bottlenecks are. That same thing that can be applied to an AI audit. But an AI audit is pricey. Some people do not have those kind of money, so no problem. Today, that is the whole point of this video. I will show you how to do an AI audit for your own business. I will also leave a couple of documents for you. Let's start right now. And the first thing you have to do for me is like pause this video, open up the document. And now that we both have opened the document, let's go straight to the AI audit. Actually, for my case, the first thing when client asks for an AI audit is I send them this questionnaires tells me what their business is all about. And those 7 questions are basically easy questions, but it helps me and the person that does the audit a lot. It also gives me an understanding of what you do and how you do it. You can also read it on your document, but I urge you answer this with like precision. The only way it works is because if you be precise on it, and then you get a great understanding of what their business would look like. Perfect. Great. We go on to the next step. Before we go any deeper into this audit, the one thing that you have to internalize is big answers does not work. Every answer needs to be measured so that it can be changed to dollars per hour saved or other measurements. You can see in the document perfect example here. When somebody says we want to have better communication, that is vague. You cannot measure that. So you ask a little deeper. You ask 1 or 2 extra following questions. You have to change that to we want to cut lead response time from 3 to 4 hours to under 5 minutes. Here, what they said is we want to have better communication. And you have to interpret that 3 to 4 hours to 5 minutes as a measurable is measurable. It clearly states their current state and their target state. And in the audit, it should go like that. Current state, target state, measurable. Internalize that. So now we understood when we get vague answers, we should look for more. And next, after the questions, what we do is we hop on a discovery call. And a discovery call is actually where you get to understand what the business is, how the business runs, what are the internal structures on it, and etc. In this discovery call, you have to understand as the auditor is it is not your turn to talk. You should not give ideas out here. The only thing that you should do here is you have to listen and you have to repeat what the business owner says, because to see that you're on the same point. And if you're curious about something, you have to ask follow-up questions. That is it, that you are not the main character in this discovery call. Here is where you map out the structure, the processes, the tools, the tasks. Discovery calls are divided into two: the ground view and the bird's eye view. Why is it split up into two? It's because the questions you ask execs and the questions you ask the people that are doing the task are two different questions. Yes, execs know a lot about the goals, the pain points, and the cost, the hierarchy, the team structure, and etc. But they do not know how the task is done. What is the tools do you use? What are the day-to-day things that makes the well-oiled machine run? And vice versa. That's why there are two separate different questions. After you are done with both of the calls, after you have done all of your investigation, the next thing that you should do is something called process mapping. What is process mapping? Process mapping is basically just drawing graphs and charts of how the tasks are completed, how the structure is. The reason that we do this is because it is easier to know where the bottlenecks are, where the problems emerge when you draw this graph and charts. By the way, here you draw two, or you build two different charts. The first one is the bird's eye view, and the second one is the ground view. After you're done building the charts, the next thing that you are supposed to do is map out each and every one of the processes. Which process is faster, which process is slower, which process takes more of a person's time and more of their brain power, and you map each and every one of them on that process chart. Let me show you two examples of what a process chart looks like in my own business, and we can go from there. So here, this is one of the example. By the way, this is the bird's eye view. I told you two different charts for two different meetings. This is what the exec thinks the floor looks like of the marketing and the sales department. And here you can see all of those pretty colors, right? They are not pretty colors. This is the problems that occur on this process map. First, the lead gen. The lead gen is what takes most of our time, because marketing, you should invest almost 60-70% of your time on marketing, because that's the way you get new clients. You need new leads, new flow of leads, so you have to invest heavily on lead gen. Here you can see our lead gen takes up most of our time, takes most of our brain power. It's dependent on the founder. There is huge quality dip based on who is doing it, what time it is being done, are you tired, are you not. There's huge quality dip. And the most important one, that blue color, there is a huge revenue leakage here, because if you do lead gen bad, there your revenue, you are seeing your revenue drop. This is the ground view, or the task view of our cold email campaign. I'm not gonna lie to you, cold email is very important, but it is very tough, and it has been a personal problem of mine. It is my enemy, it is my nemesis, but I still love it on the same way, because when cold email is done right, can be astronomical for your business. But the problem here is cold email is very tough. Like, cold email is a numbers game, and these days it's not even a numbers game. Each and every one of that cold email potential client, it has to be personalized to get better reply rates. That is a problem for tomorrow. It's not a problem for today, but I just want to show you that this is how we run our cold email campaign. After you've done those discovery calls, after you might map out each and every one of the problems, the brain power, the quality risk, you ask yourself, is this suitable for AI? Well, only best way to answer that question is if you actually are knee deep in AI. But I think these questions can actually help you. Like, if you're non-technical, if you do not know anything about computers and AI, I believe that these questions will help you. Ask each and every one of these problems based on these questions. And the first question is the input. The input has to be well defined and structured, and can it be easily labeled? What we want here is we want forms, we want emails, we want databases. Those are like prime. But if it is not categorized in this way, then like it's not the end of the world. Like there might be other solutions. It's just that it is hard just to write them on a piece of paper. That's why. The second question, the output. Does the task require a consistent, repeatable response or action? Does the action or the outcome vary? And again, the same thing. What we want here is a standard response, a classification, data extraction, those kind of responses. Perfect. And the third one, AI has bad decision making. The amount of code I have to install just for it to double check what the AI did is insane. For this not to happen in your work, you have to ask yourself the decision making. Is the decision making based on a rule or based on set of rules or based on logic or based on a score? If the score is 1 to 10 this, 10 to 20 this, those are fine for AI. Like companies can classify their decision making based on those. It will make my life a whole lot easier. But like companies don't, and it's not a huge problem. It is actually a huge problem, but like you always find a way. And the final one, is this repeated? If this is done like once or twice a month, then you do not need AI for it. Like somebody should do it. It doesn't take more than this amount of hours. But if you do it every single day, if there is a dedicated person for that, then their AI is prime. And when I say that, I forgot to mention one of the most important points in this AI audit. If you have the budget, if you have the means for somebody to do this, you should not consider AI. Why I'm saying this to you is, yes, AI is great. AI can do a lot of things. It is faster than human, but still humans are human. If you install this kind of projects, this kind of softwares, and you add a human to it, you create a superhuman there. If you have the means to add the human plus the AI will give you higher return on investment. You will create Superman for that specific field. And who does not want Superman? Then okay, great. We mapped out the processes, we found out what the problems are, and we checked if it's AI suitable or if it's not suitable. What is the next important step? If you are a business owner watching this once and want to do it for your own business, what I recommend you is after this step, go on YouTube, go on Google, ask ChatGPT, ask AI, ask everybody and everybody you know how to build this. Like the problem you say to write it down and ask how do I build it and research upon that. That's the only thing I can say because every problem that I have, like I already know how to do it. So, or I just like do a bit of research of how to do it. So I cannot relate with you here. Okay, then what do you do next? You write down what each and every one of your problems are. These are the systems that I would like to have. You can see that most of them are marketing and sales. That's because we are having a huge issue on marketing and sales. The next thing that after this, what you will do is you create a graph of high value versus difficulty. The graph will look something along the lines like this. These two, you do not need them. If it has low impact, then there is no point in even adding that to your system. Here you can map out what takes much of my effort and what has high impact. This is basically what my goals are, and this is what I'm going to try to build for myself. In this series, I'll try to show you why I build each and every one of these systems for myself. And this is how much each and every one of them are estimated, the time it will take to build each and every one of those out. And by the way, here with the proposal generator, remove this. I can I do not remove it. It will only take 1 to 2 months. The rest are just how it says, and this is the estimated time it will take to build the systems. You should show all these to your potential clients or even to yourself. Like you should map each and every one of them out because it will be important for the long term or hitting your target, hitting your goals, what the next project is. I said a lot of things when my mic was off, so I'll try to repeat it. What I was trying to say is everything else is just pretty noise if it does not have a clear return on investment. And that is, by the way, why I said you need to put everything in measurable outcomes because later you will do a return on investment based on those clear and measurable outcomes. So we do that ROI. Well, you do it on ideal state, deliverability, and the cost. And here are some easy examples or easy calculations of how you can do it. It is time sink, manual labor saved, payback period. By the way, payback period also important. You have to add that to the return on investment, and the finally revenue impact. I can show you an example based on my cold email campaign software. I really need this because I told you that cold email is one of the most important parts of your business. If you're planning to build based on of cold email, you would know how important it is. Now let's calculate the return on investment. It says 6 minutes per email here. There is a reason that I said 6 email, and that reason I'll explain it more on the next video. 6 minutes per email. Let's say the rate is $9 per hour. By the way, I said 160 cold emails here. That is small, like it is low. Why? Instantly, everybody knows instantly. If you're doing cold emails, you would know instantly started their business by sending 1,000 cold emails per day using their own software. 1,000 cold emails, and they got only a reply of 1%, and I think a conversion of 25% out of that 1%. When I tell you out of 100, 1% out of that 1%, you convert only 0.25. That is low numbers. But what you have to think about here is they sent 1,000 emails per day. That is the beauty of cold email. That's why, by the way, I said 160 cold emails. And here you do some easy maths and you do 6 minutes times 80 emails per day is 480 minutes, which comes out to 8 hours. By the way, that's why I said 2 copywriters. 160 cold emails in that 6 minute per email mark. It is 2 full days. So to cut it short, you hire 2 people. Okay, great. $9, that's $9 times 8 hours, that is $72 a day. That's the price you pay for your cold email. By the way, somebody said, I remember, that for every dollar you spend on cold email marketing, you get a return from $35 to $45 approximate. Take that with a pinch of salt. And next you do some easy maths and you find out that it takes $37,440 to run your cold email campaign. That is great. The 2 boxes that I didn't add here is because I'm actually building the system and I have to try it out, is how much your software implementation cost. Just for the sake of like creating the box here, let's do a live breakdown of how much it might cost. Let's say it takes $2,000 to build the system. Okay, then the monthly retainer fee comes out to $500. That comes out to $8,000. Okay, basically your software does $37,000 worth of work in $8,000. That is good. That is great. You add that here. Next thing you have to add is, when will this $8,000 investment will be added back to your own client's pocket? You do those 2 math and you give them the figures and the numbers. Then after all of that is done, you do not like directly and start building the project. First, you have to validate all of your ideas. This is the part of the conversation where you speak. You have to validate your ideas with your clients. You have to call them back and you have to check up on them saying, we have this system that has this return on investment, and we want to shoot you some ideas. By the way, you do this because sometimes there is the culture of the business, there is the complexity of a task, and you will even understand more why this call is actually a gain for you and your client. So this is not just you proposing ideas to them. This is both of you collaborating on which ones would work and which one won't. Because at the end, when you present this to your clients at another call, this is actually something you both agreed on. This is teamwork, not only you doing something and say, we are going to implement this. Perfect, we got it. That is great. And this is how you do an AI audit. If you are doing it for yourself, then just the first thing I would ask you is to take it easy and not to overcomplicate this. Write down like 3 to 4 tasks that are important, then narrow it down, do more research on it. And to help you more, I have attached another document. This is actually questions that you can ask yourself or you can ask your current client. And this will actually, if you are a business owner, you should definitely, it's about 14 pages worth of questions based on each and every one of your departments. This will actually open up your eyes more to AI and which processes are best for AI and which are not. And I have added a part two. This is for your own business strategic growth. Ask yourself this, ask your team members this, sit down and try to do this questionnaires, and you will find out what your next steps should be. The part two has nothing to do with AI, it has all to do with you. So I'll attach both of them down and you can look it up for yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you do an AI audit for yourself. This video I probably will be long. Try to get through it and you will come out a better business person or whatever. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have not introduced myself. I think my name is Rai Wandamsige. A lot of people cannot pronounce it, so just call me Ray.